Hello, folks. This is a recorded session. We're going to be talking today with Sid Cooper, frontman of the band LOAstate, who I'm a big fan of. Bit of a trigger warning, there may be some language. If there are young, impressionable ears nearby, maybe take precautions. Sid is going to talk about the crisis of meaning. We're probably all aware that there's a crisis of mental health at the moment. Sid's also going to talk about the crisis of meaning and his own mental health experiences and how he is trying to get some messages across through his music and how the coronavirus pandemic is affecting him personally and collectively at what shifts in consciousness and attitude may be being perceived throughout this period. So before we welcome Sid, I would like to play my favourite LOAstate song so far, which is called Love As You Want It, and I now need to press some buttons to make that happen. So let's try this. Here we go.
It's gonna be hard to come back from here, the fear grips me. Tongue-tied alive, the words fill up in me. She can't survive without the eyes of everyone within the room looking. Lips leave that signal fixed on lip syncing. Puts herself in and out to sharp mingling. Now I'm just stood there taking it in clear. So this is what I got. Love as you want it. As you want it now. Love as you need it. As you need it. Love as you want it. As you want it. Please you. Want to know how it ends. Want to know how it ends. Conjure in mind till it bends. She tells me don't label, fornicate, fix, and tempt to disable. She comes alive inside the mind of everyone within the room looking. Sex and freelance, Bukowski romance. You've hit me in a place I didn't know exists. Now I'm punch drunk, broken in love. I asked for this, so this is what I got. Love as you want it. As you want it now. Love as you need it. As you need it. Love as you want it, as you want it, needs you. Wanted to know how it ends, wanted to know how it ends. Told you in mind till it bends. What you see, what you feel, what you know. We live in an ocean of motion, so do what you love with emotion. It's so hard to build a relationship when all you know is on a mobile phone. What you see, what you feel, what you know. Communicate to instigate internal flow. Love as you want it. As you want it now. Love as you need it. As you need it. Love as you want it. As you want it. Needs you. Wanted to know how it ends. Wanted to know how it ends. Conjuring mind till it bends.
LOAstate. So hopefully Sid will be along very shortly. I'll pause the recording for a moment and then magically he should appear.
This city provides so much of what we want to so many people, although this city offers very little of what we need. Love, peace, anarchy. One day, in an LOAstate.
So
there we go, got the notification.
Sid is here. Welcome, Sid.
Thanks for having me, Paul. I really appreciate this, mate. So it's going to be good.
Likewise, yeah. Thank you very much for coming on. And it was triggered really by a video that you posted on the LOAstate site. Was it yesterday or the day before, a couple of days ago?
I don't know. I keep saying I don't know what. I'm losing track of time here. And you don't know what day of the week it is, dear. And it's a strange time to be alive at the minute. Obviously, it's an awful situation, but I think me and a lot of people just try to take as much positive. Sorry about that. There's a tractor right next to me. Just take as much positivity as you can take, I suppose, going forward. I'll just move out the way 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree, Sid. It is a very tricky, challenging situation, and I have no clue what day it is. But it is also an opportunity for change and for awakening, changes in consciousness, changes in personal, how we approach the world. And that's kind of some of the drift of what you were saying in your very personal and revealing video that you posted the other day. So you were talking about the crisis of meaning and also talking about your own mental health journey and how we can use this situation to change, reevaluate how we are. So you want to talk a little bit about, introduce yourself first of all, what you do and what's got you to where you are today, Sid?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Sid Cooper. I consider myself a musician. I'm a musician that's kind of always been a musician, but by standards of society where it's like, if it's measured on fame, then I've kind of been an unsuccessful one. But in my own head now, coming to evaluate who I am as a person and stuff, I don't think I've been unsuccessful. I think I've done so much. I've failed so many times. I think failure is a big sign of success because it means you're putting yourself out there, and that's really important to me. I've over the past 2 years, after the last band I was in, after that kind of ended, I hit a bit of a bad time, really. Well, I didn't really tell anyone, but I really struggled with that. And like I said, I mentioned in that video, kind of the world opened up in front of me, and I was like hit by this massive just abyss. It's like I was stood on the edge of something where I could have easily fell in. But I decided that I wasn't going to do that. I'm going to decide that with the strength that I'd been given through all these failures, and that I was going to turn it into something positive. And I wanted to educate myself because I realised I'd left school, and it was a bad experience for learning me at school. There was 1 year when I got to be creative, but as a creative person in school, you kind of taught to stay within the box, whereas I like to think outside the box because I think that's where you find magic. So yeah, the past 2 years has just been a massive learning curve, and I'm just trying to build myself as a person. I just find a bit of respect for myself that I think I deserve, really, because we're all in this together, and it's a struggle. Life is a struggle. So yeah, I've turned it around now, and rather than playing the victim card and stuff, I'm wanting to turn that into just helping others, really. So that's kind of where I'm at the minute.
Great. So it's a great turnaround, and yeah, it's interesting you use the word failure.
Yeah.
That's a kind of, it's a very spiky word, isn't it? And
It is a spiky word.
It's something we can label ourselves with, or it's something that society can label us with. And as a musician, it's a really difficult business to make a living out of, as I'm sure you know. So yeah, by commercial terms, you might be deemed by others or by yourself to be a failure, but it's an act of creativity, and it's an act of personal growth, and it's something that gives a lot of pleasure to a lot of people, you know. And I've been to several of your gigs in your previous bands and also your current band, and from all of the people that are there, none of them would deem you a failure. So
it's nice. It's nice to hear. It's nice to hear. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that's something about anyone in whatever walk of life they're in. They can find themselves at the edge of an abyss and label themselves as a failure because they haven't reached some expectations from their parents or from society or their own pressure that they put on themselves. So how do you see that kind of ties in with the crisis of meaning that you were talking about?
Well, like there's a mental health crisis, and it's obvious because everyone's talking about it. I don't think people know how to deal with it really. I agree that people should open up and talk, but I think it's difficult if you don't know how. Like, and that's where for me the problem is with that. It's like everyone's like, obviously the suicide rate's gone up completely, especially with males. Also with females as well. Let's not forget females because they're struggling just as much as we are. And I just wanted to find a solution. I wanted to know why, because my whole life I've kind of got meaning from not doing what is set out for me. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that you do have to get a job and you have to work to earn money. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't think that should just be it for you. If you're gonna do that, then if there's something that you want to do in life, and I think everyone does have kind of something, and even if you can't, it can be the smallest thing. It doesn't have to be being a musician. It doesn't have to be that. It might just be, like I said, just learning how to maybe write or something like that. Something as simple as that. It's not simple. That's not simple at all. But I thought, I was just thinking, what's given me positivity in life, and it was always been finding meaning in things and putting myself out there and kind of what I got from that. It was never about the money I got. It was never about anything any quick pleasure or anything like that. It was deeper than that. So I kind of wanted to understand that. And I've watched loads of YouTube videos, read loads of books, started reading a lot, and I'm finding so much meaning in just reading. I think it's so important, but I don't think it's given the importance that it deserves. And I've just kept coming across this meaning thing, and I was just like, not become obsessed with it. I've just been wanting to learn more about it and how I can get that across in what I'm doing as a musician. And it's really helped. And I think from that video I posted the other day, it's resonated with a lot of people as well. And I think they're feeling the same. And I think they're never told that they can do the things they want. Never, I don't think. And I just want to get that across. I want to start giving people confidence, because I don't think you can give that to yourself. And I think that comes from other people. And I want to push people just to try. And it's scary. It really is scary. It'll be the hardest thing you'll ever do. But if I can maybe show that I'm giving people back in to do it, then that'll make me happy. So, yeah.
Yeah, so really empowering message that you're putting out there, Sid. So totally on board with it. And, you know, thinking that as you're talking there, I was thinking about my daughter. She's 15. And so last year she had to choose her options for what she's studying for GCSEs.
Right, yeah.
Some of her friends who got perhaps more traditional parents than myself have said, well, you've got to do science, you've got to do this, you've got to get a good job, and you've got to get this and this and this. And I've just said to my daughter, just do what you love, do what you're passionate about. So she's doing dance, she's doing photography, she's doing history, and that's not going to lead her into, you know, some high-paying job perhaps, but it's what she loves. And
no, man, that's it for me. That is it. Like, I'm getting like tingles with you saying that and stuff. That's exactly the message we're trying to get across. That is it. Do what you love.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
And I think this situation now has kind of, like I said, put that into perspective now, where you've had to kind of retract a little bit. You're taken away from the craziness and of real life. It's not real life, is it? It's just structured life around you. It's kind of being able to sit back. I know the times are so worrying, but being able to sit back and kind of evaluate your life. I think you're seeing people just starting to do that and starting to do things that they like and talk about things that they like, and it's inspiring. It's inspiring for me anyway. And that's why I've done it, because people have been doing it and it's inspired me to do it now. I just think, well, why not just get my message across, and hopefully it'll help. Even if it's just one person, then that'd be great. But,
yeah, and that's kind of what I'm doing with the Thrive Hive. I just think if one
exactly
person is inspired, or one person, I talked the other week about one of my oldest friends from school lost his niece recently, because she was in isolation because of the crisis, the pandemic, and she couldn't cope with the isolation, and she didn't talk about it, I presume. She had no...
Right, okay. Oh, right, okay.
If doing what you're doing and doing what I'm doing just saves one person or inspires one person to speak out about the mental health issues, or to follow what they're passionate about, then it's job done, isn't it?
It is, mate, and yes, it's horrible. I've had a couple of friends who have lost people from the virus. Spoke to one's a friend I haven't spoke to in a long time. I left her a message, and then I spoke to another friend yesterday who's had a friend who just passed recently, and it's just he was just saying he doesn't know how to handle it. He doesn't know. How do you handle this? 2 weeks ago he was talking to him. Now he's not there, and I just try to be there for him, like, and stuff. So yeah, it's crazy. Way out and stuff, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's helping, but it feels right. So that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So how are you coping with the pandemic and the lockdown? How's it changing your life?
At first, I was going a little bit out of my mind. I live with my parents, who are lovely people, but I was kind of I'm old enough to have moved out now. You know what I mean? And I was worried because going in due to my own problems. Like I've grown apart from my parents a little bit, in the fact that, and I said it in that video, you think your parents are superheroes, but then when you grow up, you start to see that they're human just like you. And I started judging them for the way they were and stuff, not to the face really, just through behaviour and for myself, you know. And having this time now, it's great. It's getting better, and we're talking, and we're starting to understand each other and stuff like that. And so that's one positive. I've also been smoking weed for most of my life, and I can't get hold of any. So I've had to stop, and all of a sudden I've seen a new side to myself, which I really like, and one I'd like to take forward. You know, I don't want to go back into being that person, that paranoid person who just wasn't. Well, to people in the outside world, I probably seemed fine and nice, but inside I wasn't dealing with anger and resentment and stuff in the right way, and I bottled a lot up. And now just talking has really helped and stuff like that. So that's my journey with it. Obviously, it's really worrying and stuff. You just try to look after people around you and just be there for your friends and your family, really. But yeah, how about you, Paul?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a roller coaster for me, Sid, to be honest. So
okay,
the first week I was fine, and a lot of my friends were feeling a lot of anxiety, and I was in this kind of Zen-like space of, don't worry, it'll all be cool.
Yeah.
And then I just had a bit of a meltdown, to be honest. And you know what you were saying about having the rug pulled from underneath you and staring at the abyss?
Yeah.
And that's where I was. I was incredibly anxious and fearful. Had a lot of self-doubt, suicidal thoughts, all sorts of stuff going. I thought my business is going to tank, and I don't know what's going to happen. And there was various other stuff going on in my life at that time, and it just got too much for me. Really struggled. And then, kind of reached out to friends, got a lot of support, did a lot of self-care stuff. Went to see a business coach, started up the Thrive Hive, and within the space of 2 days, I was kind of riding the crest of a wave again, and just feeling, like you said, purpose. You know, I just feel like it's ignited something in me, and I'm feeling more connected to myself and more connected to my network and friends and people that I don't even know. I'm connecting to them.
Yeah.
Doing, and I'm actually really enjoying many aspects of this new way of being.
Yeah. That's positive. It's good. It's just good that you can open up like that, Paul, and it's just helping me just listening to you. You know what I mean? It's like it's inspiring again. It's just positive, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that and stuff. But I think they're calling that the funk at the minute. That mood or something. I heard that phrase the other day. Word, whatever. The funk. But very up and down. But at the same time, just trying to evaluate the downs and then apply that to the ups. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, and a lot of the reading that you've been doing and the TED Talks, YouTube videos, that type of stuff, that there's a lot of wisdom out there. And what resonated with me from your video is around going to the edge of the abyss, that darkness, and from that comes light. And that reminded me of, do you know anything about Jungian psychology and alchemy?
It's straight from Jung. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Not obsessed, but it really resonates with me. The stuff he talks about and how deep he went into the psyche and stuff like that. And if you think that someone's gone that deep, then they must have found like nuggets of gold along the way and stuff like that. So these are people to aspire to be like and stuff like that, because they have answers, which is good, and they stop the confusion, which again is also positive. But yeah, sorry if I interrupted you there.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So there's a 4-stage process of alchemical transformation, which Jung talks about.
You can teach me more about him here, because like I think I've only just dipped my toe into the water, and obviously it's an ocean, isn't it? And there's so much in each part that I've only just touched it really, but I'm getting so much from it. So I'd love you to tell me about it. That'd be great.
Okay. So it's you know, the old alchemists in the Middle Ages, people kind of characterize them as trying to turn lead into gold, but that was really a metaphorical process of human transformation. So what Jung talked about was kind of transferring that into psychology and personal growth.
Okay.
And he says there's 4 stages with Latin names, I think. So the first one is Nigredo, which is the blackness, and that's where everything is. It's the funk, basically, like you said, where you've had the rug pulled from underneath you. You might be depressed, anxious, don't know where you are, lost your way, and it's like the veil has been removed from whatever illusions were covering up your life and any masks that you might have been wearing.
Oh God, we know about them.
Where we are as a society now with this pandemic, it feels like we're in a collective Nigredo state where everything's kind of been, the veil's been lifted, there's a big abyss there, and it's like, gosh, what do we do next? So then the next stage is called albedo, which is the whitening. So this is where we get some kind of purification. It's starting to access the unconscious stuff. So, you know, like you were talking about with your parents, your relationship there, and you started to talk, be honest, and perhaps with knocking the drugs on the head as well, that's been able to connect you more to your inner self. So it's like shining the light on stuff. And then after that comes citrinitas, which is the yellowing. And this is where you get new growth, you get hope, you get new ways of being, you get enlightenment. And it's this kind of joyful place of, wow, it doesn't have to be like it was before, it can be like this, it's amazing. So that's the kind of transformational zone. And then the final stage is called rubedo, which is, I think that's the red stage, where you've got to just integrate that into your life and make it a new way of being and make it a habit. And that's how you go from darkness to transformation to lightness. And it's not like a one shot then it's done. It's like a spiral process that we go through our lives. So we have various nigredos and we work our way through it and we embed the changes, and then we have another one and another one and another one. But hopefully we're growing and going up the spiral all the time.
It's like building a puzzle within yourself, isn't it, really? Like, in a way. it's kind of like I've watched recently Plato's allegory of the cave, where he
Yes.
steps out,
Yeah, I saw that.
and it's like a path to enlightenment and stuff like that. And I think enlightenment has a lot of bad connotations around it and stuff like that, because I think the 60s kind of ruined that for people with all the flower power and stuff like that, because they kind of got it wrong, and that's why it failed. Because it's an internal journey, isn't it? It's not on the outside. It will eventually be on the outside, because you'll start having a positive effect on other people. But yeah, this internal growth and stuff like that, it's crazy, because the amount you try and control life objectively, I think that's the right way of putting it. When you start to just look within yourself, you answer life's problems just from looking in yourself. You have the answers, I found. Whereas when you're looking for the answers outside and you're trying to control whatever's going on in front of you, you end up just going around in circles constantly, because you can't control what's outside of you. No one can, but you can control what's inside, and that's where you can start. And then it's not about control. Is probably a bad word really, but yeah, that was brilliant. Like, that was brilliant, because like you've just put into words where I see my journey in a way, and the process we want to get across. And basically, it's that what you said is in every film you'll ever watch. Every film you'll ever watch goes through that process, that Jungian process and stuff like that. Which is why these stories and films now, obviously, we've replaced religion with the Avengers and stuff like that. But like, why for me, religion and that is still important. The stories are still important, and they should not just be thrown to the side, like, because I think people like the guy sat in the cloud. Obviously, it doesn't exist, but there's the metaphors and the deep meaning in religious stories. Whatever religion, I'm not just saying Christianity or anything, because obviously it's looked into Buddhism and stuff like that, because there's so much there. But it's like, I think we're missing that kind of, is it metaphysical side? Is that right? The kind of the side, the higher good, kind of, in a way, something to aim towards. I think with that being removed, I think we, as people now, we're kind of looking at governments for this, to be that person, and because they're human, they're only letting us down. You know what I mean? And it's people, we're missing that thing to aspire to, that greater good. And these stories and films they kind of bring that back a little bit. I know I've gone off topic here. I think can't remember what we were discussing, but I'm just trying to get across what I think is important. But yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to meander. That's fine. But yeah, I like what you say. The answer's inside, and
that's where we were.
yeah. It's for me that links into following your passion again, and this crisis of meaning. And I think quite often when we're young children, we know what we love. And like, say for my daughter, it's dancing. You know, my son loves football and drumming, and that's what he loves. So I'm going to encourage him to just carry on doing that. And as kids, you know, we're pushed through the school system, like you say. If you're a creative person, it's like a square peg in a round hole. There's very little opportunity for you to pursue that. We kind of get lost, I think. We lose the things that we're connected to, the things that we're passionate about. And quite often, you know, we talk about midlife crisis and stuff like that.
Well, again, Paul, with that, you're told to stop daydreaming all the time at school. Stop daydreaming. No, don't stop daydreaming. Keep daydreaming, you know, because that's your passion. That's what you're thinking about, the good things you want to do in life. That's why you're daydreaming, aren't you? So, sorry, mate, to interrupt again.
No, it's all good. And that's where the creativity is, isn't it? I've been a teacher, and I've been frustrated by the kids who are staring out the window and doodling. Why are they not listening to me? Because they're not interested in doing equations. They just want to be creative. So, you know, I think that the middle part of life quite often is about unpicking all of the stuff, all the masks we've put on, all the things that we've learned which actually aren't us, and getting back to that core, that thing that we're passionate about, the thing that is going to give our lives meaning.
Definitely. Completely agree. Completely agree. And getting back to that inner child in a way, isn't it? Like, yeah. He still speaks a lot of sense.
Yes.
He or she, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big part of who we are. So with LOAstate, what kind of messages are you trying to get out to people? Because it isn't just fluff, is it? It's there's messages there. I know there's a lot of mystique around the band and stuff, but there's serious messages that you're trying to get across. Do you want to expand?
Yeah. The mystique basically is me hiding. That's what that was. And I mean, we enjoyed it, and people liked it. People were always asking who I wonder what they look like and stuff like that, which is nice. But that's just the story of my life. Like, what do I look like? Like, what's underneath? Without sounding self-obsessive or whatever. It's not meant to come across like that. But yeah, we have a message. We have a little philosophy that I built around something that I saw when I was younger, which is this love, peace, and anarchy thing that just presented itself to me for some reason. Synchronicity, I think, is that what Jung calls it? When I was on holiday in Cornwall, and I've been on, I don't want to say obsessed because I don't want to be obsessed. It's not an obsession. It's just a curiosity. And I finally kind of felt like I got to grips with it after I figured out Jung's shadow and stuff, because it was love, peace, anarchy. I wanted to know how anarchy fit with love and peace. And so the philosophy we've kind of put together, again, this could be fluff, Paul, you know what I mean? I'm still trying to figure it out, but as I go along, I'm sure I will. So it's aim towards what you love, which is what we've been talking about. Find peace in action, which is the next step, kind of, that's the moving towards what you love. And then face the anarchy yourself, which is because it'll be you that's stopping you from doing what you want. Not always. I understand that people don't always have the opportunity to do what it is they want, but it's the responsibility of the people that do to go out there and do that and improve the world in their ways, so that will hopefully filter down to help these people who don't have the opportunity. So that's kind of it. Does it make sense?
It does, yeah. It sounds to me like it is taking personal responsibility for your own happiness.
It is, yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's about taking responsibility. And I think, thinking about it now, it's basically another little model for like Freud's id, superego, ego, for Jung's shadow, self, and what's the third? Is it the higher self, or what?
There's the collective unconscious. Is that what you mean?
Well, there's that which, yeah. Again, sorry, I'm because I've not delved deep enough yet. Still a little off on the subject, but yeah, Freud did superego and ego. I think it kind of maybe a little model for that as well. I'm not sure. Like you can see here, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I think I always will be trying to figure it out. And I think that's why I'm so curious about it, because it spoke to me. And when I'm living by doing that, by taking responsibility, like you said, that's when I'm happiest. So, and that's when I make the people around me happiest. So I think it's important.
Absolutely. Good man. Okay, so what else did I want to ask you? Yeah, I suppose the final thing is curiosity around. You talked about the mystique, and you said that was kind of hiding a little bit.
I think so.
But it was a bit of fun as well.
It was, yeah.
Do you feel going forward that's going to change? Are you going to be showing more of yourself?
Well, definitely. I mean, I've just put another video up just before this on there. Definitely going to be showing more of this kind of stuff, more conversational stuff, because I think it's important. I think by opening up dialogue, by having these, how do you say this? By opening it up anyway, conversation, you encourage other people to join in. And from putting that video up the other day, all of a sudden, it's like people are waiting to say how they feel, but then they feel like they can't, because they feel like they're going to be shamed, or they're going to upset people. But you've got to talk, because that's how you figure things out. That's how you understand the world. That's how you understand these thoughts that you have in your head and stuff like that. But that's why we started writing in it, because all these hieroglyphics and that, you're taking thoughts out of your head and putting them on a wall so you can evaluate. so it's kind of, that's how you do it, by putting your words out in conversation, open conversation, which is aimed at finding truth rather than just feeding bullshit. Sorry to swear, Paul, but feeding people with false information and stuff like that. You just observe yourself and just ask yourself, are these things saying I'm true? And do I know where I've got these things from? Because if you don't, you'll be doing more harm than good. And it's kind of together, just like Socrates did with, is it Galcon? Sorry, I'm still, Plato's Republic, basically. There's a conversation between Socrates and Glaucon, I think he's called, where they both disagree with each other, but they find the truth. And that's what it's about, is watching them two disagree and come to some kind of truth, because the truth will always be between two different opinions. And it's just about finding that. Again, I'm sorry, mate. I've wandered. I keep wandering, but you can see I've been dying to say all this stuff and just not. So it's kind of not being given the opportunity now. It's kind of, I know it annoys. It just annoys like my friends, like Denny especially, because I'm always going on like this to him. He's the only one who gets to hear it, and he's just like, "Oh, you shut up for a minute." And he's right. He's right, because he loves context and stuff like that, and I tend to go all over the place. But yeah. Wherever I'm going there, I want to just say thanks, Paul, for allowing me this opportunity and stuff like that. And what you're doing, and I think, is incredible. And hopefully it'll inspire a lot more people to do the same thing and stuff like that. Because I think conversation, open, honest conversation, is what is the way to go coming forward. And when we come out of this crisis, or this virus crisis, it is a crisis, I suppose, isn't it? But yeah,
it's a crisis and an opportunity. But yeah, thank you.
100%. No worries at all. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, I can pick up your passion, Sid. There's so much stuff kind of stewing inside you, and I can feel your excitement about all this knowledge that you're picking up. And there is so much wisdom out there, and you're speaking a lot of wisdom yourself. And
thank you, mate.
The key messages you're getting across there are talk about mental health, follow your passion, make yourself vulnerable. That gives other people.
Yes. Show your flaws, man. Show your flaws, because they're normally the thing that make you unique. So, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to show them. People want to see them. That's what. Again, going back to films. Sorry, I'm going to go off here. Going back to films, you'd never watch a film with a perfect human being in it. You would never watch it. It's boring. You watch a film because you want to see how that person gets over his flaws and how he conquers his needs and stuff like that. So it's important to show people that you are flawed, because we're human, we're flawed beings, and we'll always be like that. But the best bit is being able to find connections within our flaws and then making them whatever.
It's the hero's journey.
That's the one.
Campbell, do you know Joseph Campbell?
Yeah, I've read that. Yeah, so you can see that. Yeah. It is inspired Star Wars, so that'll do for me.
Yeah. Yes, you are a Jedi.
Yeah, I don't know which side of the Force I'm on yet at the minute, so I'm just still trying to figure that out.
We all have that dark side, the young shadow. 100%. So before we end, is there anything else that you want to bring, Sid?
No, I think we covered it. I just wanted to encourage people, and hopefully that's come across. I love this, Paul. I love conversations like this, deep conversations, meaningful conversations. And just, if anyone wants a chat or anything, or got anything to say, then speak to us, can't they? Yeah. We'll always listen.
Absolutely. So if people do want to follow yourself or LOAstate, where can they find out more?
So we're kind of based more on Instagram at the minute, because that allows us to be kind of as creative as we can be. But we're moving on to YouTube a bit more. We're on Facebook. It's LOA and then state, to all one word. And there'll be the more, I don't know, this is just kind of opened it up this week. So there's going to be more. We like creating, we like putting out content. There's more conversational stuff, and then come next month we'll be releasing some of what we consider to be our big singles. So I'm looking forward to doing that and getting that going.
Excellent. Look forward to it. So I think we'll close with Why Me Why, which I think it's connected to kind of personal responsibility. Do you want to say a little bit about what the song's about?
Yeah, I was watching back the video that I said that I put on the other day on Instagram TV, because I like to look at myself and see what I'm saying, if it's right and stuff, and kind of tear myself apart a little bit and to put myself back together. And that song came on straight after, and then it was kind of like, I always thought I was singing that song to a friend, but I can see now that I'm actually singing it to myself. So yeah, it's about me taking responsibility for my life, and perfect song for what we're talking about. So thanks, Paul.
Coming out of that victim stage into personal responsibility.
Yeah, man, 100%. It'll set you free. It'll set you free.
Excellent. Well, Sid, thank you very much for your time and your honesty and your insight. It's been really interesting, and I'm really inspired by what you're doing. So
same to you, Paul. Thank you very much, man.
You take care, Sid.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I just care for you, man. You should just forget her. I come over, but you, 'cause I know you can do better. Living in the name of love, love, love. Killing in the name of the both of us. Feelings hard to explain. You just say forget it. I know this, do that, and do that is what you said in. Try to pull you back from the past that you were let in. Take your future, how can you forget it? Get it? In a silent mind. In an ancient time, in an I define, out of fatal cry, why me, why? Excuses and lies, so you can hear me inside, come on and dive into the lie. Feelings hard to explain, you just say forget it. And do that is what you said in. Try to pull you back from the past that you were let in. Take your future, how can you forget it? Get it? In the silent mind, in an ancient time, in an I define, out of fatal cry.
So there we go. That was Sid Cooper from LOAstate.
This is a great American tune.
With a lot of
by native New Yorkers.
Wisdom behind him. So hopefully you took some useful messages from that. Do follow LOAstate on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you want to. And I shall see you soon. Bye.